and then we'll kick things off, and then we'll get you introduced. Okay, sweet. Yeah, we have a couple people coming on now. Right, so we're just gonna talk first of all to introduce Raj. He's done a couple of trainings in here already, so some might be familiar with him, know of him. Some clients watching will obviously very much know you on a weekly basis. And what we're going to talk on, like, we're kind of just going to let this flow pretty much for the most part. But the post that we put in earlier on in the week was around self-belief and the lack of self-belief holding you back from reaching certain goals, fitness goals in general, even as well. But let's just kick off first of all. Introduce yourself, Raj, who you are, what you do, and why we should listen to you. You're the professional.
Yeah, what were you thinking? Yeah, I'm Raj Shankara. I am a coach of life, of relationships, and of the mind. And I help people who are distraught with where they've gotten to in life, and I help them solve a few problems and see things more clearly. And I do that because I studied from the ages of around 19 or 20 to 32. I studied inside of a monastery and trained both as a soldier and a philosopher, monk. And I got kind of good at figuring things out. So now that I'm out in the world, I'm sort of talking to people and seeing how many people I can help on a daily basis while not going insane at the same time.
Awesome. I think that's a good roundup. Well, with regards to, because we were obviously speaking before this went live, and we were kind of trying to figure out what way we wanted to go about this as well. So we're going to just kind of let this flow, and we're going to kind of give like our own experience as well with regards to this, and we'll also talk about the 1 year out visualization, which Raj is going to bring us through. But just to kind of kick things off, because Raj, I'm going to follow you and flow with you because you're the professional. But I put a post in around like lack of self-belief and what I see, like speaking to people in this group, and like things that hold people back from feeling like they can get to their goals, and the visualizations that we go through with the monocall. But with regards to like lack of self-belief and goals, like what's kind of the viewpoint there on that, and your thoughts just to kick us off?
Yeah. Well, let's start here. For example, for the people who are watching right now, how many people have been hurt before by another human being? Who has been betrayed? Exactly, right? We all have. Who has been betrayed by someone we cared about, who we thought cared about us? We've all kind of been through challenges that validate insecurity. So we have these patterns in our mind that built up that eventually say, you know, you've got to be careful. You've got to be cautious and skeptical, number one, instead of being open. The challenge with that, it's kind of a double-edged sword. The challenge of that on the sharp side that hurts is that we're no longer open to change. We're no longer easily available and ready to listen and kind of empty that cup inside of ourselves so that it can be filled with more teaching. Now, the good side of that is we prevent ourselves from being misled and betrayed again and again and again. So there's definitely a balance that comes with life. However, we do, in my opinion and in my training, we want to lean towards being open. We want to lean towards positivity instead of pessimism. And intelligent cooperation instead of skepticism. So it's okay to listen to something. It's okay to be open to something. And then we're cautious as we get closer and closer and closer. So it's not bad, it's not wrong that we feel like we're going to be judged and we're insecure about change, or that we fear change. But we have to constantly question whether we're happy. And if we're not, which everyone here who I saw commented belief under that post, all of those people, without a doubt, want change. They want something different. We all do. That's kind of the secret of everyone. We're all going towards change on a day-to-day basis. We're doing it with the people that we love. We're doing it by starting families. We're doing it by starting new careers. We get up and out of bed every day because something may be different. And to embrace that, instead of be skeptical of it, leads to positive change. To be skeptical and over the top and cautious usually leads to poor change or stagnation, and we don't actually make any progress. We may even go backwards. So that was a good place to start, because when we make that comment under the post, when we know that there's going to be a teaching online and we show up, we're saying something about ourselves. We're not, Sarah, you and I aren't talking, for our own benefit. We're doing this, and hundreds of thousands of coaches all over the world are doing this probably right now, because we know that people, while they're fearful and insecure of change, they not only want it, but they need it in order to live a happy life. So I can't really stress that enough. And if we know the right ways to go about change, then we can do it safely, and we can do it without being betrayed, and we can actually learn something and fill that cup from a mentor, from a coach. And I recommend that to people all the time, right? But then there are the blocks, that there are the statements that come out of our mouth from the student, from the person who is on the edge of learning more, and they stop themselves, right? They're preventing themselves from falling over the edge or going somewhere that is potentially dangerous or could be the best thing that's ever happened to them. And that's kind of the dual nature of life. And we have to continue to try to convince people that change is scary. Change is a little, it's going to be different. And you're going to have to change up your routine. But you would not be listening, you would not be commenting, you would not be actively engaging if a part of you didn't already know all of those things already. Now, the key is, how do we bridge that gap for someone to let them know that I'm going to do all of I can, you're going to do all you can in your experience and your own personal change yourself to help that person, right? And I'll be honest, one of the biggest insecurities that people have is fear. But the way it comes out is usually, well, I can't afford this service, right? But if it was free, would you still do it? And usually, actually, statistically, no. I can give you an example. For every student that I've done pro bono work, they drop off at about 3 months. And I'm reaching out, they're not spending any money. What happens is they're not investing. So there's a fear of investment, and it comes out as, well, I don't have this. And oftentimes it becomes a matter of well, you have a choice. You can either make the investment and change, or save the money and not change. And we are here because so far we haven't invested. But we're typing in this group. We're seeing this post because this is a group that hasn't made it to the premier level. They haven't invested in themselves as much as they can. And that's one of the biggest fears. That's one of the biggest concerns that comes out. But we also have to remember, what are some of the things that we invest ourselves in every day that don't cause any change? And is it worth it? So there are many, many ways to explain why we need to invest eventually in a coach and mentor. And I'll give you a personal example. I myself needed a coach and a mentor at a time in my life when I did not know anything. And there was no change. There was no positive reinforcement around me. And I was getting advice from every single person. And free advice is often, it's either too much to comprehend or it's not personalized. And when we get a coach, when we get a mentor, it becomes personalized. And all of a sudden, someone is directing their gaze at us, and all of their knowledge and experience starts to be focused right on our path. And that's what we need the most. And so I was lost, 19 years old, 20 years old, on the cusp of that time period in my life, did not know what to do, but knew what I wanted. I knew that I wanted to be a better person. I wanted to be wise. That was my idea. I wanted to be full of educational material that I could one day teach to someone. But at the moment, I had nothing. And I wanted to master the mind. I wanted to understand meditation. And so I tried to do it on my own. I actually left the mainland US. I got rid of my profitable company and went into the jungle to learn on my own. Now that's dedication, right? So I had the right idea, but after about 2 or 3 weeks, I'm sitting there in the jungle, trying to meditate, trying to do all these things, but it's not right. Something about it is unfocused. And we can have all the dedication in the world. We can give up our lives to be one-pointed. But if we don't have the experience to back up that focus, right? It's like a dim light trying to shine. And eventually that bulb burns out. What I needed and what I soon found was a coach, a mentor, right? We call that guru. And in the mindset and lifestyle change that I was in, it was appropriate to say, I need a guru. I need someone who can direct me and start to instill wisdom so that I know more about this path. And without that, right, probably I would have just been a homeless person, right? Because I had nothing. I was living on the beaches and the jungles of a tropical island. And, it's like someone trying to give orders and shout orders when they're not ordained as someone of the law. You can shout all you want, but you don't have the power to actually back anything up, so it means nothing. Now, for all the people that are dedicated, like they feel they're dedicated, they're going to the gym, they're eating right, there's plenty of free resources that kind of get you most of the way there. You will do a good job on your own. However, will you get the specific details that you need to know how you work in a reasonable amount of time? And the answer is almost always no. So on my own, I could master meditation. How many decades would that take by myself? I don't know. But I've seen it in other people. When they don't have a teacher, they don't have a coach, a mentor, or a guru, right? They're usually older and they've done well for themselves. But then I had a coach, a mentor, a guru. And I can now say in my 30s to someone who is twice my age, I can guide them through a meditation. And I kid you not, People have told me, I now realize, older people who have been on their own all this time, they say, I now realize I've never actually meditated. So, and that's unfortunate, kind of. It's that double-edged sword that's the one that's slicing them, because they later find out that things could have happened a lot faster and a lot more efficiently if someone was like, hey, I've been down that road. You're going to fall into these pits, and I can actually cover them up, straighten out that path a little bit, shine a light on it, and I just want you to go that way for a little bit. And then we're going to reevaluate in a few weeks, and then we're going to kind of fix the path a little bit more, because that's how it works, because I know that's how it works. And we can't do that when we're by ourselves. So that's why we can't make, that's one of the reasons why we can't make the next step, right? Fear. But unfortunately, when we're alone, we're headed down that path of slow change. We're still going to do something, but it's not going to happen in an efficient way. And, we all know the cliche of someone who's, oh, I've been there before, been there, done that. And they're still trying to figure it out. I think it's pretty obvious in today's world that most powerful, effective people who are doing the changes that they want in a reasonable amount of time have the mentor. They have the coach. They have the teacher who they're in contact with and who's available, guiding them. That's why we go to school. It's why we do internships. And oftentimes the best careers have an internship first, then a subcontractor type situation, then you get hired. So there's a gradual step because someone is bringing you under their wing. And I think with intimate fields like fitness, right? With diet, things that we eat, you're getting into someone's life. So here's concern number 2. I'm not ready for someone to see who I really am. That's hard. Because just like when I was younger and I got a teacher, one of his first questions was going to be, who are you? And I now have to deal with all of my shit, right? I have to now explain who I've been, what I've been doing, how wrong I could have been. And that's going to cause a lot of fear of judgment. Am I ready to let someone into my life? And I don't think we have a choice. We have to kind of surrender, let down those guards, and say, I'm ready for the training because I know what I want. And those are just 2 of the main concerns, not to ramble on, but those are the 2 of the main concerns that come in. It's surface level at income, and then it's exposing who we really are. Because once we get past income, it actually follows methodically right to exposing who we really are. Because we can all get past income. We all have spent money on things that give us half the value. If you compare some of the things we invest in versus physical change that will last you a lifetime, lessons and knowledge that you can keep with you in your mind, well, that investment is priceless. But we put a dollar amount on it, and then our challenge and our opportunity is to let people understand that here's why people are doing this with me, and here's the change that other people are going through. When it's not a question of if this is good for you, it's a question of, are you ready to let someone into your daily routine? You would agree, right, Sarah, with your own trial and error in your path.
Yeah, because I think it was like 6 years ago that I actually reached out to Ashley, because I was like, I can't do this by myself anymore. And it is super, super scary, like, to show you where your starting point is, like what you're doing, like, I suppose what I thought I was doing wrong, and then him knowing that, and I was like, oh my God, what is he going to think? And this whole fear factor of then, like, what are other people going to think because I have a coach, and that kind of scenario. But then again, when I was looking back on it, even just before this call, I was kind of like, what I was actually doing to me, like the impact, because I was missing out on so many social occasions because I was like super strict on my nutrition. It was then affecting my health, my hormones, everything. That if I'd actually continued on that path, there would be a hell of a lot more consequences if I just went on further and just felt like I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I don't even know where I actually would have ended up if I just continued on that path without just saying, like, sending that one email. And yeah, it was super, super nerve-wracking to like let down your barrier and say, like, look, I do need help. But once you get past that, and once you're actually guided through, and that the person like on the other end isn't also being, I suppose, what's the word for it, judgmental of where you're at, makes a huge difference. It's just that initial, I suppose, jump. Like, is there's people like on this cliff, like I can either jump now, be courageous and do it, or I'm just going to stay on this edge and just stay here and be safe, I suppose. But once, like, I think the biggest thing is the jump. And then once you do the jump, then you're like, oh my God, okay. That's what I see a lot of time with clients. It's just that initial come aboard, and then it's fine all then from there.
Yeah, and I'm fortunate enough to, so I see it on both ends, right? I see in my own private practice, but also in the work that I do with you guys. I know that mindset before the jump. And then I get to talk to people who have gone through the program, and they're like, I was told exactly what I needed to do, and I did it, and now I got what I wanted. And it sounds, I guess that sounds elementary, but that's part of the unknown. If I do this, will I get what I want? And you know, when you're dealing with someone with you and Ashley, who have dealt with thousands and thousands of people, it is an equation after a while. And we do know, we now know your body, and we can fit you into this mode and get you onto your change. And you can now have that with you for the rest of your life. And so as you were saying that, I remembered my own fitness journey before getting a coach, and I actually made myself like auto-bulimic, where I dieted so much I couldn't reintroduce foods without vomiting. So like our dedication is not the question. It's not whether, can I do this? It's well, I'm not really sure what to do. But when a coach then says, here's what you have to do, and these are the things to look out for, it's a no-brainer. And I think it's for me, it was an investment that made me who I am today. And I think everyone on the spectrum, from the athlete who competes on stage and physique competitions, to the mom she's finished having kids, she's ready to lose that weight that occurred over the years, and she does the photo shoot. Maybe she uplifts the way she feels. And really, it shouldn't matter what anyone else thinks. You start by doing it for yourself, and then it can't be taken away from you at that point. But before you make the jump, your mind kind of creates the scenarios. Your mind says the fears starting injecting in what's going to happen, and you don't have the proof to defend the mind, right? Defend yourself against it. But taking that leap of faith allows you to say, now I know exactly the path. This is what I'm doing. And I think for my practice, it's even harder with the stigma, right? I have a mental health coach, or I have a relationship coach. It's not as easy to say, I have a business coach. right? Helping me with my finances and stuff like that. Because that almost, implies that you're doing quite well financially. But, the fear of judgment is real, and the stigma behind having a coach that helps you with your lifestyle. But you'll never know unless you make that leap. Even talking to someone who's done it isn't quite enough. You've got to say, yeah, I put in the months that were required, and I'm a different person because not only do I look and feel different, but I have a different mindset, and that will allow you to live out your life knowing that you can change. You can, once you make those leaps, because it's one leap after another, that leap, once you make the leap to get a coach, you now make the leap to practice what they're teaching you. And then you make the leap to deal with the changes and accept the fact that, you may pass up other people who aren't making fitness changes. You'll have to deal with that. And all of these things along the way can be reinforced because the coach is there, the mentor is there saying, well, here's how we deal with that. Here's how we deal with that. In other words, it's like saying, now that you've taken a step towards me, every leap you now have to take, I'll be there. And you never make another leap completely in the dark, ever again. And it's a culture and tradition that is integral to history, right? It's generations and generations of humans guiding the next generation. That's all we're doing in this process. And we're trying to tell people we don't really have the wise men in our community anymore. We don't really have the experts and the extended family so much. That's kind of broken apart now that we're in a global society. So we have to reach out to people and achieve that student-teacher relationship outside of our extended family. And that's quite a natural thing right now. And I would hope that that's not really a foreign concept to some people. And if it is, that will soon, I think, be evolved to where this is just a part of becoming an effective, powerful person, is getting that coach, getting that mentor.
Yeah, and like, even because a lot of people come on board to like fix their body confidence, physique goals and things like this, but then the amount of doors it just opens everywhere else in their work, their relationship, so many different things. I even know that from when I came on board with Ashley, like all of a sudden now I've been coaching with Ashley, like head coach for 4 years. Like, it's just opened so many different doors along the way once you actually do it. There's actually a question here from Claire, which is kind of on the topic what you just spoke about there. She said, do you have any insights / advice on when you fight and push yourself to have the bravery and self-belief to do something, but those close to you don't support it, so pushes doubt constantly into your mind, and therefore you never push to make it a reality?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
environment.
Okay, do you have about an hour? Okay, start the clock.
Summary.
That is a beautiful question. That's I love amazing questions. So you can imagine the experience I have behind that question. When I did what I did, I actually removed myself from family life and became a monk. You know, the amount of negative reinforcement that were coming from everyone outside of my path was tremendous. I mean, and you can imagine, it's challenging for everyone when they lose someone as a sacrifice, and it's like they're on this path and they're changing themselves, but I want them here, I want them this. It's a bit selfish, but it's also loving at the same time. And ultimately, love has selfish factors to it. But man, for me, I knew it's like the airplane analogy. You can't help someone else if you don't have oxygen on an airplane. If you don't put that mask on yourself first, you cannot help the person next to you because you will be gasping for air. And I think that equates to our life. And I knew I was much less valuable as a contributor to society, not let alone family, but to society and my community at where I was in life. So I removed myself temporarily, focused one-pointedly, and now I was able to come back and be tenfold more effective at contributing than I ever would have been if I stayed and just remained a part of that old script. So whenever we rewrite our old script, we will get the haters. They will come out of the woodwork because people, just like we started off saying, fear change. And so when you're the one who's changing, they fear your process. They fear what's going on. And not everyone, right? Not everyone's a hater, but they will make themselves known. And especially when we're in a family setting and now a diet has to change slightly. More protein has to be added to someone's plate. And we know deep down, if that person wants to see you happy and succeed, they have to be supportive of your path. And when they're not, we have to remain focused. And we have to be the example. If we remain just like them, then no one is getting better, or no one is improving at a faster rate. So we have to keep in mind that if I make this leap and make this change, I'm going to be a light out there somehow. I'm going to be able to change just by doing what I'm doing. And I kid you not, when you make these changes in life, the haters eventually kind of fall by the wayside. They kind of go their own separate ways and they get distracted by something else because they're not really living their life. And then the people who realize what you're doing will actually improve just because of your own dedication. And it's really weird. I'll never forget when I started teaching about waking up earlier. It wasn't that I was telling people to wake up early. I just was telling people that I woke up early, and all of a sudden that created some kind of motivation, some kind of inspiration. And I'll end that question by answering what another monk told me when I first started. When you have your goal, it's like on an island. It's an island of itself, and you're on this island separated by a channel in the ocean. And you hop on this boat to get to your goal, and you've got to pass these rough waters. And all the while, like you're getting closer and closer to your goal, but it feels like you're trying to be thrown off this boat left and right. But you've got to stay one-pointed and focused that you have a purpose and a destination. And you're going towards this island, and you're only temporarily on this rocky path, this rocky ocean with storms. And you get to the other side, and you can now go back and forth freely. So you have to remember that there is going to be that aspect of life. There's going to be negative reinforcement. There's also going to be positive reinforcement. But if you don't go forward, the storm engulfs everybody. No one gets to where they're going. And what would be the point of doing anything worth praise if it wasn't considered outstanding? We have to kind of be outstanding. We have to embark on these noble, courageous things in order to fulfill our purpose.
That was good. That was a good summary. Hopefully that helped clear, but that was actually, that shed some light on my end as well. Just with regards to then like the 1 year out visualization that we're speaking about before this call, and we had mentioned in the post as well. I want you to kind of overview this for those who are watching here, because obviously then there's obviously the lack of self-belief, but it's obviously thinking of where you actually want to go and what's the destination. So give us an overview of actually what your concept is around that.
Okay. So this was a tool from another monk who I trained with, and it's a way to see the future and make that leap in our mind. So that leap is the scary part. So what we have to do is we actually have to be, we have to make the leap. We have to do the jump into the dark in our mind, and then create the back end of the movie. We have to create the winning part of where we want to be. And then we're able to live in that moment for a second and see if we're happy, see if it was worth the leap. And the 1 year out is exactly what it is. It's 1 year away inside of our choice that we made that leap. That's the presupposition. That's the given answer that we did. We took the leap, and now this is what happened. So I needed to make the first time I did the 1 year out, I was about to make a really big purchase, actually. I was about to finish the flooring of the gym that I built inside the monastery. And we laid the concrete out and everything, and the structure was in place. And now I needed to make one of the most expensive choices of any gym operation. It's going to be the floor, because the floor is number one. It's a place that people walk on, lay on, impact on, weights go on. It has to both be comfortable and indestructible. So it's definitely one of the most expensive parts of it. And I had never made an expensive decision before. And I called up the accountant, and I had my shopping cart online all set up. And I said, I'm freezing up here. I don't know if I can make I don't know if I can spend this much money when I don't know what's going to happen. And he said, I'll tell you what. And he took me through the 1 year out. And he said, close your eyes and visualize the purchase of the floor. 1 year from now, the floor is installed. You're standing on it. You're exercising on it. And go through a normal day on this floor and visualize everyone else there. And you're using it. And you made that choice. Now, the other part of you in the 1 year out didn't make that choice. The other part of you have what you have now. It's 1 year out, you're on it, all the other gym people are on it, and you did not decide to make this purchase today. Who is happier? And I bought it, and I loved it, because I saw what that looked like. There was no question. And sure enough, that was one of the best purchases I've ever invested in. And I think for fitness, for remolding who we want to be into this new person, we have to know what that looks like. So if I'm overweight, if I don't eat quite right, and I'm sluggish, I'm mentally foggy midday, I want to be an effective, powerful person. So I'm sitting there, I could hire a coach that tells me what to do and is my support system when normal people in life aren't there for me. Because look, you don't have a support system unless you invest in someone else. Everyone else is way too busy. They can help you with a text here or there, They could help you maybe with a word of passing, but they don't know what the hell they're talking about in the end. And even if they've done it themselves, they just don't have time to take you on. So I'm sitting there. I know I need to change my ways and I need help to do it. I need a community and I need a system that works for my life. So I did that, and 1 year from now, I made the changes. I lost the weight. I changed my diet. I have more energy in the afternoon. And I'm this person, this new being who now knows a totally different routine than what I used to know. The other part of me never made the leap and kept doing what I was doing for years. Which one is happier? And I think we all know the answer.
Awesome. Really, really good. People have to watch that back now and sit down and do the same thing. We have a couple of questions that have come in now. My phone's after dying, so I'm just going to pull them up here. So if this makes noise now. Okay, yeah, we're good. Now these are kind of a little bit more off topic, but I feel like with regards to like the self-belief side of things, what we've just gone through so far, 1 year of visualization, I think that's probably enough for them to take on board. There's a couple of questions here now. This might be going off topic for you, and maybe it'd be kind of good to get your insight on things. But there's one comment here saying like, how do I stop comparing myself to one that came before me? But it likes to sneak into her thoughts as she's going through. So like kind of comparison of like, oh, well, someone's dropped this many pounds or someone's doing this better than me, that kind of stuff along the way.
Yeah. Very common thing to do. It is, let me think about my wording here about what this is. Comparing yourself to someone else is incorrect. Logically, it doesn't make any sense. We don't have the actual, we don't have an advantage when we compare ourselves to something outside of us, because there is no control there. There's no way to replicate two people's paths exactly the same and say he did that, she did that. You know, we need to remember that we hold a level of individuality that, and that individuality is one of our greatest strengths in life, not our group identity. So we have to be individual first before we can actually contribute to a group. And a group has to be made up of individuals before it can actually be a cohesive community. So that comparison is literally, factually, it doesn't contain any value. We have to do what works for us, guided by a source that knows us, and has worked with our body and done the research behind it. Everyone else is kind of just, they did the same thing. They did what worked for them. So, and we also have different bodies. We have different genetics, and I could have as much dedication to a path I want. I could be the most dedicated basketball player in the world, but I will never be able to play as well as anyone on an NBA team. That would be insane to think that I can now, because I'm dedicated, I should be like that. I don't know anything about those genetics. it doesn't have any kind of reason behind it. We have to stick to our path. We have to do what we do best, and we will find our own best image. And we see what we look like when we lose the weight, what genetics are there, and what proclivities we have. We may not even, I may want to look like, you know, an IFBB bodybuilder, but when I find out that the path it took to get there, that might be completely nothing I'm interested in. So we have to ground ourselves in reality and stay focused as an individual first.
Awesome. And there's another question here as well. Anybody else who has questions, do just fire them in. But this one here is around like motivating yourself, like when you fall off the wagon. So it's like, say if you're on like the road to the goal and then there's like an obstacle or a stop or a plateau, whatever it might be, like how do you not give up is your question. Is this more so, and you give me your thoughts on it, but is it like being super, super clear and actually the end goal as to why not to give up, or like your reasons why behind it, or what's your take on things?
Yeah. The obstacle in the way is the way. So that's a famous Marcus Aurelius quote. Our obstacles in life, our challenges, our hardships and setbacks may seem like they are off the beaten path and unfortunate, but that is actually not the case. The challenges and hardships and setbacks are the very thing that propel us to finish the goal and actually make it worth something. If something is not challenging, chances are it will not reap much reward. It won't be permanent, lasting, or worthy of concern. It is the thing that creates a challenge in our way that makes it even more valuable. And that's the path that we're all on. We're all on the ability, the path of change. We're all on the path of looking, feeling better and all the time. We don't just get to a certain goal and then we're good. Our goals change and evolve the more we grow. And to have a barrier or a challenge and a wall in our place is the reason, we are moving forward in life. If there were no barriers, if there were no walls, we would not exist as creatures in a world meant to challenge us.
Sweet. There's another one here that's come in, Tracy Smith. First time I've seen your name in here. But it's how to keep motivated when results are slow to see.
Yeah, it is. But chances are you're looking at the wrong result. When I'm I'll give an example. When I was on a 60-pound weight loss cut, from going from powerlifting and picking up 500-pound objects to a physique cut where all of my veins in my body were visible and I was, essentially just going for physique and not strength. Right, I had about 8 months of weight loss to endure. If I had woke up every morning and checked the scale in the bathroom to read 60 pounds less, I would stop the next day or the first day I weighed myself, because it would not reap that result. That would be 8 months into the future. So if you are looking at the end goal from the very beginning and not seeing the road marks as we get there, you're simply looking at the wrong thing. You have sort of blinders on and your tunnel vision. you need to have the goal in mind. You know, our maps know exactly where we're going to go in our car, but we know we have to make a left turn in order to get there. And then we have to go right and get on the highway. If we don't do those 3 steps, you can forget about that end goal. So the fact that I made that left turn, that's what I'm looking for. And that's going to happen in a few minutes. So when I go on a diet, when I start a new weightlifting program, I am looking for the small changes that happen quickly, and then I meet them, and then I advance slowly, and I reevaluate if some marker is too off. That's what the coach is for. So that's the concern of an uncoached mind. So when we have coaching, we can say, okay, you're looking at the wrong thing. Look at this. See how that changed last week, and you never felt like that quite before? See how you had extra energy right at that moment where you normally went downhill? That's what we're looking for. And then 8 months from now, we can see all of it add up to what you are now. So look at the right thing at the right moment. Don't look too far ahead or else you'll drive yourself insane.
That's really, really good. A lot of the time as well, like when you get someone to look back on their week and they're like, look, you've just dropped X, Y, Z. We're on the right pathway. Like, just look at the week on week. Question here from Kira, who's actually a client, and so she'll have a good idea in terms of like calories, what she's meant to be doing, and possibly able to give some advice around. But she asked, like, what advice would you give to someone who's on this journey and enjoying it, but wants to help someone else along the way, but they're not having any of it, negative thoughts about wanting to help themselves?
Yeah.
That's a hard one, because like it's like me trying to help my mom and my mom being like, no, you're not helping me, kind of thing. So I'm not sure if that's like because she's my mother, or because like she's just not ready to do anything about it. I don't know which.
Yeah, I'm hesitant to say this, but I think it's true. You can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. You can't reach out to someone 4 times a day, make sure that they didn't binge on that chocolate cake. They have to reach out. They have to say, hey, what do you think about me not binging on this chocolate cake? And then you say, they're open, right? Then you say, yeah, probably not a good idea. And then they don't do it, and they're like, hey, that worked out great. Anything else? So we can't say, hey, you shouldn't do that. They have to reach out. They have to be open. And when we're open, then we're ready to receive instruction. Before that point, getting that instruction almost repels us to follow it. So don't waste your time. Do you, follow your path. And when someone is genuinely ready to make adjustments and change because of what you've done, they will reach out, and then your advice is sought for, not beforehand.
Perfect. Sweet. I think that's all the questions. It's about, like, sometimes I feel I'm trying to help her because it's another form of me holding accountability. Yeah, so kind of come back to the environment side of things, because it is hard in like a household, I suppose, where people don't want to do it, and then you're the only one, or the kind of the sheep among the rest that are kind of like, what are you doing at the same time, which we kind of spoke about as well.
Yeah. When we live our normal lives, people tell me this all the time. For example, I'll be sitting with a client and talking with them, and they're saying, they're realizing that I don't have anyone to talk to about this. There are some issues that I deal with people who there's no one can help them, right? It's the difference between support and instruction. So support is readily available. It's the passing good luck. It's the go get them. It's the, hey, I'm here for you. The guidance and instruction level is usually non-existent until we get a coach or a mentor. That's what they're for.
And then Tracy here said as well, which I don't know what you think of this, because Tracy's she's been like in with me 6 months now, but she was
Tracy
like,
Lewis.
yeah, Tracy Lewis, yeah. You probably see her a lot in the video. She's very
Yeah, she's great. Hey, Tracy.
but she said, like, she just said keep leading by example, because her husband started to be more interested after watching her do it, and all the benefits that journey had on her kind of, I suppose, what's the word for that, kind of just flicked onto him, and then he started changing. It was kind of just a tree.
Yeah, it's a domino effect, and that's the best way in a marriage. That's the best way to go about it, right? So as a relationship coach, marriages will come to me when one person is doing something different, the other one's not, and it's causing conflict, right? So the conflict arises when the person who's changing is like, hey, you should do this, I'm doing this now, you do that. And the other person is like, whoa. I'm doing me. I'm glad you're doing you, but why are you having me follow onto your path? It never works, right? That's just projection, and a spouse should really focus on that path that's best for them, for the overall relationship, but not try to force the other person to change, just because they are. It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. But as she's just said here, we are now a power couple and motivate each other, especially when one of us having a bum day.
Yeah, exactly. Then it works. I love that. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, she's absolutely flying it. But just like to kind of leave, like, I suppose, 2 major takeaways for some people who maybe joined late, need to watch it back, or those that have like taken all this information now and like, whoa, where do I even, like, kind of what can I take 1 or 2 points from this video just to start with? Just to finish off with like 1 or 2, I suppose, main takeaways on your end to leave them with.
Yeah, I guess the first one is, don't watch the video, just get the coach. Go for Ashley's coaching program. All that good, call me in the morning. See ya. No. So, I mean, really though, I guess number 1 is don't be afraid to make the leap, because it's not a leap. It's not a leap in of faith. This is a leap of controlled guidance, and someone is there to receive you when you make that leap and follow you through a program and work you through it. And if you let fear manage your leaps, you won't go anywhere in life. And takeaway number 2 is, I guess, the 1 year out. Go ahead, close your eyes, visualize yourself a year from now. Go through that routine. You made the leap, you went through the program, and you're a different person. Okay? The other you did not do that. 1 year out, what did it look like? And you can do this with anything, but easily you can do this with, you should do this with investments. And this is an investment of your energy, and it's an investment of your time. And we want to put care into it, but at the same time, don't be so self-sabotaging that you get in your own way of making yourself better.
Awesome. Perfect. And just like to leave a last note, people who are watching this video back, and like we can get one of our team members to message anyone. But if you want to put like a comment of enroll, that was like enroll as an EN or OL, just if you want either me or some of the team to reach out, because Raj obviously works closely with us on a weekly basis, and Tracy knows that, and Beth, she's new, so she'll find out that soon. But if you do want just like us to reach out, see where you're at, what you're struggling with, it's no problem at all. So just leave a comment. But thanks a million, Raj, for doing this video. Good to have you back.
My pleasure.
And hopefully you all got some good stuff from. So we'll see you all next week for another live. Done. Sweet. That was really good.